YouTube channel. Today I'm going to talk about one of the very important Swift API, and that is result. Um, it is basically a value that represent either a success or a failure, and this enum it is over two generic params. One is called a success, another is failure, where they have put a restriction that failure value, which is the second param to this enum, it should implement error protocol. And the types that we will pass in first param would be associated value for success case, and the second param it would be passed as associated value in a failure case. Now, question is where do we use this result API or result and data type? Uh, we use it to write code. It helps us to write cleaner code when we consume APIs, um, and yeah, it not only at call site but where we are consuming um, calls that we send request to the server and data is fetched. It helps us write a better code. This project I have created a sample project. Let me walk through it. It is a plain project where we I am trying to consume an API which returns a mock response. It is an array of these objects. This is basically a movie object with title and overview, and I have written um, another basically file which where I have defined this a mapping object which is a movie object, and I have defined custom error enum that implements basically error protocol, and I have defined a movie fetch server excuse me movie fetch service which takes two params. One is URL string, another is an escaping closure and a callback function whose values either would be an array of movie objects or it would be a custom error. So here I'm trying to convert a URL from this incoming URL. If it is successful, I am basically calling this closure, and I am saying that movies would be nil, and in this case I would be throwing dot invalid URL. Then I'm creating a task with built-in URL session class, a data task with URL, and the other param is a closure or a callback which takes three params. If you try to check its type, one is data, other is response. Okay, why it's not showing? Let me build it and try to see if we. Okay, maybe yeah. So it either it there are three basically params which are all optional. One is error, other is HTTP URL response, and the third is data uh, data type. So first I'm checking that um, if there is any type of error, I'm doing this callback where I'm saying that there are no movies or no response, and I'm throwing at callback side this request error. Same is the case here. I am basically checking that uh, this response has a status code that falls in to 200 to 299. If not, then I'm saying that it's an invalid response. Then same goes with the data. And I am trying to decode that valid data into list of movies, and in this case I'm returning movies, and if I have successful response as movies, I'm passing nil in error case, because either it would be I would be receiving movies or it would be error. And if there is some decoding error, this will go in catch block. And in response case, I am basically I'm passing a nil and error as invalid JSON. Now if we look at call site, so let's say we are using this function in our view controller. So here I'm passing a dummy URL string in case of URL, and with second param is basically that closure which has optional movies and error. And here I'm checking that if I have movies, then do this, otherwise print a localized description. Now let's look at what result API is saying. And it says that it takes two generic parameters. And let's go back to our fetch movies function and try to basically use result API. So excuse me, let's copy this stuff just to see. So it takes success and failure. So instead of writing this, let's say we are using result, and in error case, in success case, we are saying that it would be list of movies, and in case of failure it would be a custom error. So remember that before this we were marking it optional over here, and with the error also we were marking optional, but now we don't need to do that. And the reason is why this is shouting. Okay, yeah, we have to add a bracket here. Now let's try to compile this and see what error. So nil is not compatible with expected argument, and the reason is that uh, basically when we use result type, either it would be a success case and a failure case. So in this case uh, it would be a failure case, and as a custom error we are saying that it would be an invalid instead of, I'm just commenting just to and we will later see that what is the difference now and before using result API. So now we don't need to pass basically um, that optional parameter, and we are only dealing with the only case where we receive any failure. And same goes over here. And here we are saying that it would be request error, and over here there's also a failure case and it is invalid response, and same here, it is invalid data. And when there is a success case, we are also passing nil in the second parameter that it is did not receive any error. So we can also simplify with success, and it says that basically we have to pass movies, and over here invalid JSON. Now we look at call site, and I'm just commenting it out. Now it will be fetch movies service, and let's say we same URL like google dot fetch movies, and completion is result, and result is basically an enum with two cases. So let's add a switch and say result, and now add all the cases, and here we say associate to get associated value, we say movies and print movies, and in failure we want to print our error description, and error don't localize description. Now we if we look at the code before using APIs, we were checking if it has movies not nil, then do this, and here we do not need to basically know that to unwrap these optionals and do other things if and else. This looks much cleaner as compared to before. And if we look at basically movie service, so either we receive a successful response or we receive a failure. And before using this, we were also uh, sending um, other parameter. For example, in here, we were passing nil in each error case, which was unnecessary. And now we have to only deal with either success case, either failure case or a success case. So not only this help us write better code at call site where we are calling, but also when we are throwing errors, this is very helpful. So I hope this has been helpful to you.